Shut up and sit down.
And so here he is, the man of the hour, joining us here on Inside Wisconsin. Wisconsin basketball legend, both in high school, we'll go there, as well as college, and obviously he's a pro, Sam Dekker. Thanks for joining us here on Inside Wisconsin.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Good to be on here and talk some Wisconsin sports. This is a good chance for all of us. I think we are a unique state that can share in so many stories about sports and their favorite athletes. So to have a platform like this is pretty cool. So I appreciate it.
Let's kick it off by just talking about what Inside Wisconsin is. Olivia's a gem of a guest host today, and might I say far better looking than John Anderson. I will mention that to him when he gets back. It's the second he's back. Inside Wisconsin is all about the people, the stories, and the Statriotism of America's Dairyland. Sam, you're one of us, right? And you grew up here, you played here, you went on to do it professionally. I know that you spend a lot of time here along with Olivia. What does Wisconsin mean to you as a whole? Let's just start there.
Yeah, I love that word, statriotism, because
I didn't know that was a word.
No, it's a great word. I like that.
Great.
No, it's one of those things that's just, and like I said earlier, it's a unique state. We kind of share in all our successes and our failures and our struggles. I feel like we all share it together, and not too many places can say that, I think. And to be a small market but still have, the Bucks, the Packers, the Badgers, the Brewers, all these successful teams, it really binds the state together. And then on top of being some of the nicest people in the world, it's hard not to be one of us. So it's such a unique place, such a good blend. And the sports culture, I think, is second to none in the way that the state carries us through and has our backs through, not just when we're in the state, but throughout our lives. Like I said, it's second to none, and I'll forever cherish, being a fan, but also being an athlete from, and, those two going hand in hand, I think is a unique experience that I have.
And Sam, I know it especially means so much to you every time we spend summers in Sheboygan, you get back, and anytime a kid asks for a picture with you, a grown man asks for a picture with you or an autograph, I know it just means different than when, you're in another state with an NBA team, with a team overseas. And I know that means so much more to you because these are the people that got you where you are. Like, what does that feel like even? Because no one's coming up to me asking for an autograph. So I always usually take the picture. So what does that feel like when we're in Sheboygan, especially where it's so special?
No, it's cool because to know that people in places are proud of you feels really good. And I also know at some point the ball is going to stop bouncing, and to have people, even on your worst day, come up to you and say how much you and your teammates meant to them and how they, grew up watching us or went through long, cold winter nights watching our teams, and or they remind me about something, a game I had, whether I was a pro or in high school. It's super cool to see people reflecting on something I was able to do. And, sometimes you take it for granted, but now as I'm getting older, I'm realizing how much, how cool that is. And I also, to go on top of that, I can take a picture, say I'm in Texas or something, and I take a picture with someone when they mention like, oh, I'm from, I don't know, Stoughton, or hey, I'm from Green Bay, or I'm from La Crosse, then you're like, oh my gosh. And you start talking and about that. And just, I don't know, finding somebody from, Wisconsin, from your home state in a different place is really fun, and it's really cool. And, it's a weird little fraternity that we have. We kind of nod our cap to each other, like, oh, you're from that part of the state. Like we all, there's no beef, there's no rivalry. We just are one. And that's a pretty cool thing that we have.
Trevor, I will tell you, we've been in Paris, we have been in Florida, we have been, I want to say in Russia, it happened a couple times. Sam is recognized all over the world as a Badger, which I think is pretty cool because I don't know if this is true of all college players on great college teams, that they are forever identified with that team. I think it's something kind of unique about their run at Wisconsin. But, no one's ever like, oh, weren't you that Clipper? Weren't you that Rocket? No one says that. It's, oh, you were on those Badger teams with Frank Kaminsky. That's what they always say. So just kind of as your wife, as your, sidekick throughout all this, it's pretty cool to watch that because I know it means almost more to you to be identified as a Badger.
Yeah, that Paris story. We were actually at a bar in Paris on the night before New Year's. It was like December 30th, a couple of years ago. We were in Paris, and we were sitting at a bar. We were trying to figure out a place to go, and we found this nice little hotel with this cozy little bar. And I don't know, we were just having a drink, and this guy tapped us on the shoulder and was like, "Are you Sam?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, just want to let you know, I went to Arizona the same years that you went to Wisconsin, and like I should hate you, but you seem like a good guy." We talked for a good 20, 30 minutes, and he actually tweeted at me that night. He was like, "I hated you for so long, and now you're one of my favorite players. Thanks for being a normal dude." And just like funny experiences like that are ones that you can cherish.
I love that we reference tiny bars. Like, that's a thing that we only appreciate, right? Townie bar. Let's go find a townie bar. And so let's go there real quick, back to kind of where you two began.
Yeah.
That was your first date, which is so Wisconsin. And there's more of those stories that we're going to talk about today. But how did you guys meet real quick? And how did this all come about? And I know that there is a dive bar as a part of this story.
Yeah, it's only appropriate that there is. It's actually kind of a simple story. And we were just talking about this the other day. We feel like we missed the dating app trend by like a matter of months. We were both recently single, and a mutual friend said, "You guys would be perfect. You have so much in common. You have really nice families, and you love the Packers." And I said, Anna is the friend. She ended up being a bridesmaid in our wedding. I said, "You just described the whole state of Wisconsin. Everyone's got a nice family and loves the Packers. That does not narrow it down in our pool." But I just thought that was pretty cool. And I was coming through Houston. He was with the Rockets, and we were going to meet. We were going to go on a date. And after some talking and FaceTiming, and I said, "Okay, fine, I'll meet this guy." And very nervous that he would be a jerk, an athlete stereotype, all the bad things about it. And everyone just kept saying, "Oh, Sam Dekker is like the nicest guy in the world. You've got to give this a chance." Under strict instructions from my dad to never date an athlete, I went against everything he ever told me. And our first date was watching a Packer game. Sam, I believe it was week 1 because it was week 2 college football.
I actually have look at this. I actually have a painting our friend made of our spot of our first date. This is Nick's Pub.
Yeah,
this is
in
Nick's
Houston.
Pub in Houston. It is burnt down since, which is very sad. But the place at Nick's, they had a thing called the Cheddar Heads of Houston, and the Cheddar Heads being the cheese heads that Packer fans wear. And they had it was like a legit establishment.
Packer bar.
Like, yes, like
amazing.
They plastered the walls with Green Bay stuff, like Santana Dots, and like it was just like old names that you love and like signed stuff.
They played Jump Around. They played Sweet Caroline.
They played everything. Like, and they had a buffet, a brat buffet on an honor system. So you just like put in a couple bucks in a jar, and they're like, "We're not gonna." It was like the most like up northy thing ever. Yeah. And so I was like, "Well, me and my buddy Max, like we go to this place to watch the Packer games. We play the Vikings. You want to come with?" She's like, "Yeah, that'd be great." So we go. She's like, and when we get in, she's like, "What is this place?" And then that whole year, we went to every Sunday that we were in Houston. We went to Nick's to watch the game with the Cheddar Heads, and it was those are some great memories in a great place that I think they've relocated it within Houston. We have to go visit them again. Cheddar Heads, shout out to you if any of you guys are listening.
Yeah.
So this place got rebuilt, though, as you're saying? I
believe it did get rebuilt under a different name, but same ownership, and I think the Cheddar Heads, I think they might go back. But the thing that hurt me the most is what do you think all the memorabilia? What happened to it? Like there was some old stuff in there, some Super Bowl stuff, some that's the stuff that costed the money in there. So
we should do a follow-up.
I know.
Sam, you talked a little bit there about being a fan of Wisconsin sports. The Bucks just won the championship. The Brewers are doing unbelievable. The Packers, by the way, thanks for however many Sheboygan hard rolls and brats you had to give your boy Aaron to come on back, because he's back. What does it mean to you knowing that you were one of the people that we're all fans of, right? And still are. But here you are now, Brewers hat, and you celebrated the Bucks championship as if you never played basketball in your life. Talk about what it means to you as a professional athlete watching your favorite teams do well.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing I struggle with, but also I think makes me kind of unique is I never let go of that fandom for the teams that I grew up loving. Like, I don't miss a Brewers game. Olivia hates it, but I don't miss a Brewers game.
It's
And
a long season.
She can gripe all she wants, but they're my team. I love watching them. I can have them on in the background and I can follow everything they do. And that's just who I am. And same thing with the Badgers, Badger football. Like, I don't want to miss a snap. I love those guys. I went to school there, but like, I step outside of that mindset. I can flip in and out of it. When I watch a Bucks game, I kind of still am in basketball mode just because it is basketball. That's tougher for me. I grew up a Bucks fan, but it's harder to watch as a fan just because, being in and out of those circles and playing against the Bucks before. And I was cheering for them, during the finals for sure. And me and Liv went to an Eastern Conference Finals game. So, and just seeing the excitement, within the state, just for them, it was incredible. So I was trying my best to get into the fan hat, but that's a little harder for me. But with like Packers, I'd like live tweet games because I'm an idiot and I just love them so much and I say stuff I shouldn't. And they're like, Sam, you're an athlete, you got to relax. And I'm like, I understand that, but I also don't think I am when I watch the Packers because I've never been in football pads. I've never thrown a football on a field before. So I, think just like everyone else when I watch them. They're my favorite team. They're my favorite franchise. So I sometimes have to be better about it and remember that I am an athlete and I know what it's like to be tweeted at and I know what it's like to be ridiculed and stuff. So so I try to give everyone a benefit of the doubt. But I do love my Wisconsin sports and I always want to see them doing well. And I don't think that'll ever change.
Well, Sam, going back to the draft then, you leave Wisconsin to play out of state for the first time. I mean, that's a big deal. And at any point, did you think maybe the Bucks, I don't even know where the Bucks fell on that night's draft.
So draft night was probably one of the most stressful nights of my life because we had kind of an inkling, like Sam could go anywhere from, like 8 to 14 to 15. You never know. Like, so we called the Bucks a couple times, like, hey, Sam, do you want Sam to come in for a workout? And the Bucks were kind of like, hey, just the intel that we're getting, we don't think Sam's going to fall to us, so no worries. Like, if he's there, there's a good chance we do take him, but, I don't even think he has to come in. So, okay, fair. So I worked out for like 8-9 teams, all went really well, and a couple guys got drafted earlier than expected in the top 5, top 6, so kind of pushed everyone back. And I remember getting to 14, and I believe that was either Campaign or Devin Booker, 13, 14, around there, rounding out the lottery. And I remember the Bucks were at like 15 or 16. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is going to happen. The Bucks are going to take me. I'm falling. Like, I don't know what's going on. My head's spinning. I'm like, oh, well, this would be a good thing to fall back on. The Bucks taking me, whatever. And we get to the Bucks and they announced that they took Rashad Vaughn. And I was like, oh man, like, much respect to Rashad. He's had a great career overseas now. First round pick, earned it. But I was like, oh man, like I did not expect that. Didn't see that ever on anything with the mocks. So that kind of like stabbed me in the heart a little bit. I was like, man, yeah. I thought I would have been like a good Buck there. And then Terry Rozier goes 16. Kelly Oubre goes 17, and the Rockets take me at 18. And I loved being a Rocket. It was great for me. My 2 years there. It all ended up working out fantastically, but just kind of a funny story to those who on Twitter always say, Sam never wanted to be a Buck anyway. I don't know why people keep saying that. They say my dad said that. My dad would never say that.
Oh my gosh, no.
I think he was saying, they asked him about something. He's like, yeah, if he is a Buck, that's great, but it's also great for him to get out and see the world. So wherever he goes, we'll be happy for him. And then they took that as, Todd Dekker hates the Bucks, and that's not true. And if I were a Buck, that would have been awesome. So you have no control on draft night of what happens. And I just thought that would be interesting. That was the first time I've told that story, so I'm glad I could get that one off my chest.
It's funny knowing your dad too. He's like the most innocuous, kind-hearted man in the world, and a huge Bucks fan. Like the fact that story gained traction, that Sam Dekker's dad said he doesn't want to be a Buck, is asinine.
And then I've sometimes will respond to people on Twitter like, no, that's not true. And they're like, yes, it is. I know it is. And I'm like, you don't know my dad. Like, he loves the Bucks. He would never not want me to play for an NBA team. And I've asked him about it. He was like, what father would say they don't want their son to play for an NBA team? So that's a very ridiculous claim.
Especially here at home, right? And there was a scenario during your NBA career, which we're going to talk about because I know you've been having a couple workouts here. We want to hear how that's going. But there was a close call there where I believe it was the Clippers, Wizards, Bucks kind of did this thing, and Twitter said that you were a Buck for just a second, and we all went,
Can I take this one, actually? Can I answer this one?
Sure, yeah, please do.
Okay, so I'm in Sheboygan, and I was coming through for an appointment to remodel our bathroom at our place in Sheboygan, right? It was the most like mundane day. And I'm with my mother-in-law, Sam's mom, and we're in the Kohler bathroom store in Kohler, Wisconsin, Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And my phone rings and it's Sam, and he said, I've been traded. And just the deflatedness in his voice. And we're just like, oh no. Like we were so happy in Cleveland. Sam was starting. We made friends. We loved being back in the Midwest. Like we thought Cleveland was a good spot. And we're just like, oh, come on. And we say, where? I remember I like pretty much fell to my knees, and his mom's looking at me like she saw a ghost. And I'm mouthing to her, Sam was traded. And she's just like, no, not two women care more for this man than us two right there in the Kohler bathroom store. And we're not sure what to do. And he said, don't say anything to anyone. And he's told me that a couple times throughout his career, and I'm not that good at that. He says, don't say anything to anyone, but it might be the Bucks. And I look at his mom, I go, it's Milwaukee. And she's like, oh my God. So we put down, whatever knobs we were looking at. We get in the car, we drive to his parents' house where his dad's there getting the news on Twitter. We turn on the TV. It's already made the nightly news because this news broke around like 4:45, 5. I know how this stuff works. I knew it was going to air. And it's like Sam Dekker, homecoming, coming to the Bucks, blah, blah. Sam calls me. We're truly popping champagne, Trevor. His siblings come over. It was so much fun. We are celebrating. He calls me and he says, it's not Milwaukee. I said, what do you mean? He said, they don't need me. I think there's a third team. My agent's saying there might be a third team. And I'm looking around. There's like everyone's celebrating. It's on TV. I was like, "Ooh, this is going to be awkward." I was like, you sure? Yeah. And he said, "Yeah, I have no idea where." He calls back in a minute. I tell the family, "Okay, let's slow down on the celebrating a little bit." And he said, "It's Washington." And we're all like, "All right, yeah, cool, Washington, we're in, cool, Wizards, love the colors, cool." And it was the weirdest hour. All of this took place in an hour. But Sam, that's my take on it because we're getting this live. And I feel like that story always kind of makes people laugh that I happened to be in Wisconsin with your family watching the local news.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That was basically how it went. I knew I was being traded. And then they said, well, initially sending you to Milwaukee, but that won't be finalized. So I knew I wasn't going to be on the roster there. It ended up being like a three team originally, and then plus one. It was like almost like a 4-team trade, swapping people for needs. And so yeah, then I just got rerouted to Washington. So then I knew like right away, my agent was like, no, it's not going to be Milwaukee. Like their roster's full. Like they were just clearing space. So like he knew I was going to land somewhere, and he was trying to make the right calls to figure out exactly what trade happened.
There is such a human element to this business, and sometimes it doesn't feel like that. You're very much, to use your word, a commodity. The player immediately jets off to the new city. It's the wife or the girlfriend or whoever it is at home who's packing up that house. I remember this trade happened December 7th. So I had all our Christmas decorations up in our house in Cleveland. I'll tell you, there's nothing more depressing than taking down Christmas decorations on like December 9th. I was like, this sucks. Like, pack up the car. I drove to Washington. So, and again, we got it easy. We always rent. We try to stay light on our feet. We never buy a house in one of these cities. But I feel really sorry for the people with kids doing this. That is a tough gig.
Yeah, it's a tough business. I think we've all seen and heard stories of when that happens. And you're right. I mean, Sam, for you to describe it like a gut punch or a slice to the heart on draft night that the Bucks didn't take you, and then there's this news that maybe you're going to come home and maybe you're not. But, well, hey, we'll keep it lighter when we come back with Badger great and a hell of a professional basketball player too, Sam Dekker, and special guest host today, Olivia Harlan Dekker. We are Inside Wisconsin.
Helpful critiques, ideas, great stories, people we should know, the great bar in your town, the fish fry you want to know, the fish boil, anything that you want to reach out to us with. We are happy. We are here. You can be the inputters. We're here to listen.
Shut up and sit down.